Archon 1964 here, and yet another racecourse. This is my first time in actually 5 years I've been to Epsom. I did in an earlier video say I was going to go here 2 years ago because it was clashed. I said I'd go for every group of way the race bar with Libertine Chase, Mare Chase and Cheltenham Festival, go for the listed races, and this clashed with the first of the Perth 3-day meetings. We're going to do that Epsom 2020, Perth 2021 with listed races on both days. I took Perth one, now 2 listed races on the same day. I think one may switch from a Friday to a Wednesday, I'm not sure, but I think there's a bit of change, I think, somewhere. So I was actually looking on my website, they're going there as well. Going actually to Perth Wednesday and Friday being the date of the Perthshire National, and then the Haydock on Saturday. But also the change here as well, in that now Epsom's taking place a day earlier on Tuesday, so now can do both in the same year. Let's say COVID stopped me going to Epsom 2 years ago. Now, for normal people in Newcastle, I would say this is not a high figure, going 4 times now since 2015 to Epsom. Now, actually, for me, that's quite low, and I thought it was probably some of the lowest race course I expected of a group of a Grade 1 race. The amount of times I've been since 2015, it isn't actually, it's the time between that and I think in Chepstow. I'll have a look maybe to see if I've ever looked anywhere else. But on 4, and when you mark July course, or Marcus July course, 5 times. The difference there being Chepstow is rather expensive as well as long-winded to get to Newcastle via Birmingham. It's just basically not cheap. That's why it's going to be 4 times. So certainly for more minor meetings, there'll be less keen to go. And July course, as you know, July courses, no, it's not. It just doesn't take place in July. It's the summer. Start of June to end of August, with before and afterwards being Roaring Mile course, 2 courses in Newmarket, split by the county boundary. That's different. But the point is, and I'll look this up later as well, Epsom racing, bar the Epsom Derby, which is of course brilliant racing at Epsom, and this is a decent day. There's a listed blue ribbon, it is Derby trial on the side, not for any influence of Derby at all, plus the very well known Grand Metropolitan Handicap. Used to be 2x2 race when I was saying last video I did. I don't know how he did that in the 1.5 courses. He ran through the middle of the centre of the court of Epsom Racecourse as a one-off, and then straight back down the home straight. Now Epsom in the 80s, and sensibly perhaps of them, got put to planning permission, or at least had to get permission, I think, to allow people on and charge people basically for 300% of a course, and that meant for the Derby, and it meant that you could stop now for ever being used for anything else. That part, so now that race is now a mile 2 furlongs, just the end of that race now, and a 1.5 Suburban Handicap. I think it's that way around, a 1.5 Suburban and mile 2 for Great Metropolitan, and maybe the way around, I'm not sure. But apart from that, those 3 of the Derby Day, Oaks Day, and this day, racing at Epsom is not great. And if I live in the south east near Epsom, there's something I might go to, but not from Newcastle. And I have to look it up. There's a 4 interesting versions of a derby there used to be. I see one of them, I think, still going. I know all 4 are, which was the Gentleman's Derby, Ladies Derby, the Amateur Derby, the Apprentice Derby, Jump Jockey's Derby. If all 4 of those were on at the same meeting, I'll probably just do one-off, I have to say, as an evening meeting, which I think all are. I just turned up to Newcastle once, just an interesting thing to go to. But all I think was split up in 4 different days. It's just not worth a bother. It's just too much to do from Newcastle. It's just, as I said, if I lived in south east and area, I might do it, but not from Newcastle. It's just cost. As much as anything, it costs us too much just for that. I don't know if it's a great meet. I'll have to look. I did have a record, it's slightly outdated now, and I think probably price is high from when I did this about years ago. Or this is any Class 2 race, any race £10,000 plus the winner, any race or with an interesting name as well. And I'll have to look how many were not worth Epsom, and in fact, given the 6-1 better terminals issue, which I blame the bookmakers for cocking up basically, and also some in terms of COVID, the prize money's gone down. Now a certain place I know Clemson's prize money's gone back up again for their Scottish Champion Champion Taste Day, so I think the prize money might recover from the COVID situation, but since the better terminals it may not. Time before and after racing for Pint and Epsom, we're near Tatton Corner anyway. It's a wine bar actually, but it seems to have some decent real ale looking at the Watt pub website. I'll have to see how busy it is though. And if it's a bit too busy before racing, I can just wander a race course. I'd have about an hour just over an hour before first race, maybe slightly earlier. That's not really a problem, frankly, as I've not been for a few years. Nice little place, Epsom Racecourse. I did meet somebody once in racing, and I will not mention who described Epsom Place as a shithole. And I once accidentally got myself stranded overnight in Epsom years ago. And I thought to myself, this is now late 90s, so I'm thinking, oh, this is Derby Road, Derby's house. It's a lot better than this. As just a town, and I used to say, this person made a point, I don't know, maybe stolen language from them, but it's not, it's a price. But yeah, so with the Epsom Racecourse station, that's Epsom Corner station. In fact, then it's next nearest is Epsom Downs, and then it's Epsom. There's 3 stations in the area, but Epsom Corner is actually the nearest one, and sometimes people get that wrong, and then the Epsom is quite, it's a couple of miles from the racecourse actually, Epsom. It's also the only racecourse in the London area. It's not actually in London. There's no racecourse in London since Alexander Park closed in 70 or 71. And I forgot there's own 6 travel card actually is. Just strange, Kempton Park's about 50 yards outside 2 London boroughs, and Epsom's not as near as Kempton Park is actually. But it's the only one which is actually his own 6 travel card. So I'm saying if it's too busy before racing, I'll just go to Epsom and the earlier racecourse. And afterwards, if it's too busy, I suppose it probably won't be. There's no real reason that Tuesday it'll be that busy, just for the meeting, maybe. I'll just go to London and have a drink somewhere. Maybe he just wants parcel yard in King's Cross, which is a bit not 100% cheap certainly. And last time I was there, so I think I said in my newbie videos last year, there was 9 hand pumps, 5 of them were fullers, which is ridiculous. London Pride was ridiculous. So possibly do that. So I'll go to that pub there and see what that's like. I don't really have much time to do anything before. I just started doing my national calendar for a little bit of spare time, but I've done that quite a few times recently. And I don't quite have enough time really to do that before and after. The only thing I'm saying, I've got Perth tomorrow, so I'll get back. And I look at Perth from last night because frankly I just don't have the time to do it when I get back really. I just finished looking, I haven't placed any bets on yet, but I will finish looking at the form when I get back on nothing to a quick look there. And I said Perth Friday and Saturday, and I think I'm doing some last video, we have the ones, 2 ones at Sandon in July. I think, as I said, Ascot in the 5th or 7th of May, I was saying in the previous video, about 2 years ago I was going to do that. And Nottingham next year, because there's a clash of listed races there. But Nottingham one's gone to Newmarket Rolling Mile Course, now it's 2,000 guineas, and as I said in the earlier video, and Ben Master takes a switch from Newmarket Rolling Mile Course in the November meeting to Nottingham, so those 2 races switch round. York the 23rd of May. It's actually one of these, just the series events, that one, and I also did Hamilton possibly, well, not for that one, for a listed race. And I actually found something to say cheap overnight, but I haven't booked anything else yet. I'm not sure I'm free, so I get a cancellation on a reservation in the middle of the Glasgow listed stakes, an evening meeting. But York going to the series event for that. As one other I think I'm doing. And I don't tend to hang around after racing for music events. So it's an interesting sort of Queen tribute band. I've not seen a Queen tribute band at all. And I'm thinking, it was also the cheap train ticket. It was about midnight. Get Newcastle, but then back late out of Newcastle to York to Newcastle. And I thought this might be worth doing 100 pints after racing. Even look around the York's enough time probably, even if it was late-ish evening. It won't be too dark in I would have thought, because I've just got time to kill there. I was probably others, but I have to try and remember them. So this is Epsom Racecourse. You can see the start of the Derby, which is right in the far end down the bottom. Starting stalls for later on. The first race is actually a 5 furlong sprint. Go around here, and as you can see, the straight down the bottom, and the 5 furlong starts just up there. I had a slightly bland, it was the Diceman stout at the wine rack. Nothing, I don't think anything to do with the place itself. I got confused actually, realising what you do is basically buy a bottle, and you pay an extra £1 and you drink it there, and it was only about £2.39, which a brewery player and a £1 for drinking it there, which isn't actually that bad. But beer was just bland and meh. I was trying to remember the name of it after I was drinking it. The only reason I remembered it is a Diceman, as a book I read years ago. by Luke Wynard, it was the author pseudonym. That's the only reason I remembered what it was called when I was drinking it, frankly. It's not up to much. I got time sitting for 2 bottles after racing. I'm sitting on a toilet there in the space and off licence. And I'm not sure I really want to make 2 drinks. I've run in these I've run out of the toilet, so I'll see about what happens there. I ideally Mr. Brown wanted to catch. I knew it was a tight change from London Pancras to Purley, only 5 minutes change. I was taking out later, about 3-4 minutes late. And what was surprising, it was almost unique for trains, I think I seem to run, and actually gained time back again. So I had to get the change at Purley for the train to stand in the corner, which is the end of the line here. So I got back now before the first race, so I just wandered down now. I did say earlier on about being middle of a racecourse. Naturally, I am towards the middle of a racecourse. If I had more time, I'd wander over to Derby start. It's a bit of a trek for me. It's actually can't see the back there, and I think it's just a bit too far before first race. But you can actually just wander to the middle of the track. And the 5 furlongs that I said where it was, it's actually a bit further up. It's just at the top there, and after a short while, it joins the main course. We can just wander down here, and I think I might just do that. I was expecting actually there's an information thing here saying with crossings close to our first race. Well, that's not the case because we're inside 2 hours. It says the crossing is closed, of course, on the course, obviously. And this crossing is a tunnel beside the grandstand. I think of wandering down, and if there's a tunnel, I might do that. In fact, I might be tempted. I'm not sure yet. I'm watching possible racing the 5 furlong sprint to the first race. This one from this side of the track, I don't know yet. I'll see what happens later on, but I wander down there, and if I can't get through, which I should be able to, I'll just watch racing from this side to the first race. So how well you can see this famous Epsom Camber, which drifts in where the racing drifts, of course it can drift to the near side of it, and it's long as been basically the fastest 5 furlong course in the world. It's also a very tricky course because it drifts to a whale, as you can see hopefully from here. Walk down quite a bit of it, it's more down over than it looks. Down to here. So realising I have to go back up again. It's like Beverley in reverse. Beverley, the stiffest 5 corner across the country, is damn difficult to get to. It's easy to get back from because you're going back downhill here, you're going back uphill, so it's a lot less fun. So it's Derby course, mile and a half stops down there, about half a mile away, probably from where I am. Go course there. It's a 10 furlong pole there. Across, I see there's a mile pole around there. Keep going round, over the hole uphill. Cross, down Tapman Corner. And the fastest 5 furlong course in the world is here. Behind those trees, just there's the start of it. It's a bit just behind there. It's not 5 furlong course all the way down, heavy down Liver Camber to the big horses to the near side. And all the way down, and towards the end it flattens out a little bit. See white there, that's a tunnel that you get across the other side of the racecourse. Now I mentioned probably Great Metropolitan Handicap, the old days, certainly have to say before I knew much about it. 2 furlongs on a mile and a half course, and that's said how you do that. It went one way, but it came this way towards where I am. I don't quite know the line of it actually. I don't know if it went uphill. I would have thought they'd probably go the other side of hill here. I actually don't know. Well, I just thought that'll be a real test that. So I think I just went through the near side, through the centre there, and at some point came back around and went down the home straight again. And I said in 85, Epsom decided, got permission to charge people to be in the centre of the course they didn't used to have, and sadly that meant they went much wanted handicap with code distance, I think 1 mile 2. Is that a mile and a half, a mile 2? I think I actually can't remember if it's a mile 2 or a mile and a half, to be honest, to get mixed up with the City Suburban Handicap. One's a mile 2, one's a mile and a half. So we've got the Blue Ribbon Trial, Derby Trial. I said that I had no finish on the Derby. Cracksman, I think he came second at Golden Horn. He came second in Derby, I think, top quality horse. Him second, won this race. But back to Blue Peter, 1959, so I'm the same, the last horse to win both races.